Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning.
Hello.
We have Kat on chat monitor today. Feel free to say hello, everyone. We'd love to see where you're coming from. There's Sally. Hello. And we haven't got Cliff today, so you've got me, and we've got Kat. So if there's any questions, feel free to field them over.
And I'll do my best to answer them.
Thank you very much, Kat. Yeah, we're going to get started in the normal way that we do when I run the class. I'll get everyone to connect in as if we're in a great big group, and then we'll go through the scans, and then we'll get started on doing some exercises as we normally do. So I'm just going to click something on the screen a second. Lots of lovely people coming in. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all. Okay, let's get started. So, if we, my head's off the top of the camera. I'm just going to move that a second, if I can. That looks about right. There we go. So, if you can come to standing, or if you'd like sitting, and just find yourself in a fairly relaxed, comfortable position. So if you're standing, try having soft ankles, soft knees, soft in the hips, and relax the body. Just let your shoulders float away from the midline. And then close your eyes, take your attention inside. But before we listen too much to ourselves, I want you to imagine a great big circle of people that is all of us. So just become the class, and that's all of us who are here right now, and anyone who is going to be joining the class at a later time, it doesn't really matter, we're all here together. So just have a sense of being in a circle of people, and just be setting up this feeling of this class about to start and being a part of it. And why not just have a moment of thanks for it's so nice to have these classes and so nice to have these groups that we can be a part of. So thank you, everyone. Okay, and with this lovely feeling, let's get started. So, seeing as we're already standing or sitting for some of you, then just get a sense of bringing your attention up to the top of your head, and just start off just noticing how the top of your head feels. And we're going to scan down around the head, back of the head, how's that feeling, sides of the head, front of the head and the face. Notice if there's any fullness or tension, any weakness or anything else going on, just being interested, not doing anything. So go through the neck, through the throat, and across the top of the shoulders. What's the top of the shoulders like? For me, I've got a lot of tension there today. And then travel down the arms. Excuse me. What's it like down the arms, the elbows, forearms, through the smaller parts of the wrist and the hands and fingers? Your arms just hanging there. What are they feeling like today? And then come back up to the shoulder girdle, the whole of the shoulder girdle, all the way around. And then through the chest and the upper back, through the middle of the torso, the diaphragm, the ribs, into the belly and the lower back. Scanning through, what's it like, noticing any areas, how are you feeling through the hips, through the thighs, through the knees, classic place for lots of people, calf muscles, all the way through to the ankles, the feet, reaching the ground. Just noticing any areas that are particularly coming out to you, but also just taking a moment to notice in general, whole picture of yourself. Are you feeling, is there a feeling of like more downwards, more heaviness, more sunk and droopy? Or is there more of a upwardsness and a up here and the energy's a bit upwards and a bit stuck somewhere? Or are you feeling kind of fairly well balanced? In that sort of picture, how's your energy picture feeling? Up, down, kind of fairly balanced. What's it like? Okay, it's interesting. So for me, I've got a little bit of both. I've definitely got a little bit of upwardsness, just a very slight amount of heaviness. We're going to come back to that in a second. Actually, no, let's do a poll on that now. Kat, would you be so kind as to look up on a poll, which we have, on whether you're feeling a bit more down, a bit more heavy, or feeling a bit more upwards. So just notice from what you've gone through in the scan, and also just in that last little moment, how are you, is your energy too up or down or about right? And we've got some very much too up, very ungrounded, or we've got some very much too down. And there doesn't seem to be anyone too out of balance. That's great to hear. We've got more of you though tend to be feeling a bit down and heavy. Okay, we're going to look at that in a moment. It's interesting. Still the answers are coming in, but it still looks like that's mostly about the most of the group. So we'll address both of these qualities as we go through. Thank you very much, Kat, for putting the poll up. So we're going to do another quick check-in, which is what we always do, of course, checking the 3 burning spaces. So come to standing again, or sitting, and then relax back into your, taking your attention inside of yourself. And we're going to come to the lower burner first. As Cliff often says, the lower burner underpins all the rest. So the energy of the lower burner underpins all the rest of the energy. And that's governed by the kidneys. So this is from the sort of pubic bone up to the belly button. For all intents and purposes, it's actually from the pelvic floor right up to the level of the belly button, the navel. So just notice how it's feeling inside. What's it like inside today in my lower belly, my lower hara, my lower burner? Okay. And then we're just going to take our attention up a layer. So then we've got from the belly button up to the bottom of the rib cage or the diaphragm. So then in this area, what's it like? How am I feeling in here today? Well, personally, I'm going to be honest, it's feeling a little bit full because I just finished some banana pancakes not long ago. They were lovely. But for yourself, you may want to just check in. Does it feel quite different to the lower burner? Does it feel the same? Okay. Then we're going to take our attention up to our upper burner, which is from the diaphragm up to the top of the ribs. So this whole upper chest space. So how's that feeling inside there today? Okay. Is there any difference from this upper burner to the middle burner or to the lower burner? I imagine there's quite a bit of difference. I can feel a lot of difference between each space. Now, pen and paper, if you have it, as we often do, you're welcome to do a little drawing. And Kat, if you could get the poll up for the 3 burning spaces, please, and which one that you would like to be working on today. I'm just going to make a quick note for myself, making 3 spaces and just putting in a nice bit of an image. And then whenever you're ready, you can put in which bone you'd like to work on most today. Do you know what? I'm just going to draw a load of pancakes in the middle boner because that's what it's full of. Yeah. Okay. So we have, interesting. So far, a lot of people are wanting to work on the upper burner. Well, this is great because the element that we are in at the moment is the metal element. We just started it, and it relates to the lungs, which are, of course, governing the upper burner and the energy, the qi, that we bring in through air into our lungs. And because the lungs are said to be right at the top, almost like a canopy above all of the other organs, then a lot of the time the idea is to bring the qi in with the breath and send it down and disperse it amongst all of the other organs. So, something that we will play with today. Yeah, it's still the upper burner that everyone wants to work with most, and there's a few other people, lower and middle, fairly equal. And of course we'll work on all of them, so it's all good. Okay, so let's get started. So, find yourself standing. You can do this sitting as well, but we're just going to do a little bit of shaking and loosening to start off with. First of all, I remember being told a long time ago, take care of your feet and your mouth. So we're going to start with the feet. So if you can come up onto the ball of your foot and stretch the sole, and then you can either come up onto your toes in front of you or turn and just try to stretch the top of the foot a little bit, just to feel the top of the foot stretch right through to the ankle. And then come back, stretch the sole of the foot. And then if you can do forwards, great. If not, just a little bit behind you, stretch the top of the foot and the sole of the foot again. Okay, a few little circles. Oh, lots of clicking going on in my toes today. Okay, really nice and loose opening of all of the bones and tendons in the feet, just to get that nicely opened out and get the blood and the qi moving through ankles and feet. Give it a little bit of a shake off. Place it down. Just take a moment to notice the difference between the 2 feet. One of my feet now that's been worked feels a lot bigger, a lot looser and a lot freer. So we're going to stand on that one, then come up onto the ball of the foot of the other foot, stretch out the sole of the foot, then go over on the toes or behind you and just try to gently feel the top of the foot stretch, and then slowly come back, sole of the foot, stretch, and then the top of the foot, in front or behind, whichever is your preference. So we're having a bit of focus, just nice and slow beginning on the feet today, just to start us off, and then some circles, nice and slow to begin with, opening out the ankle, opening out the ball of the foot, opening out all the bones and tendons and muscles inside of our foot. And then once they start to feel a bit looser, you can move a bit more quickly. Nice and smooth circles. Something very relieving about sort of relaxing and opening the feet. It's such a worthwhile thing to do. So then go in the other direction. And then just give it a little bit of a shake off. Okay. And let the shake go right into the calf muscle. You may want to hold something. And then the nice smooth circles of the knee by moving the foot round in circles. And then gently shake the muscles of the thigh. If you want to, you can just hold them and wobble them from side to side. It's just as good an effect. It's just as good in effect. Okay. And then you can sort of shake the hip about or do a couple of circles. Going to get the legs really nice and open today. Not forcefully, just loosely. Okay. And just pad a bit and then come still again. And just notice the difference between the two legs. We've worked on one leg all the way up to the hip. Notice how it is compared to the other side. Interesting. So for me, again, like I did with the feet earlier, this leg that I've now opened feels much more expanded and freer. Energy feels like it's moving through. Okay, so we're going to sink into this nice big fluffy leg and then loosen the other one. Again, you can hold onto a wall or a chair or something. So loosen into the calf muscle, wobble, 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 circles with the foot, helping the knee to loosen, and do it nice and smoothly as much as you can. It's just staying nice and relaxed in the hips. Whoops. And then wobble the thigh muscles. And if you want to, you can just hold on to them and kind of wobble them like that. And then the hip joint, maybe a few circles, or I'll sort of loosen the foot. You can kind of like move the leg around and about. And then, we've just squashed this one down a bit, so let's just loosen both of them off a little bit. Wobble, wobble, wobble. Okay. And then slowly come still again. Just let yourself now settle. Bring your attention into your legs again. Notice, how are they both feeling now? I can sort of feel like there's more of a buzz in the openness. I feel like my legs are about, that wide. Okay. Going to get a little bit of a bounce in the knees, just gently, and use that to help shake off the hands. And just kind of flicking them. You can do up and down, side to side, all over the place, whatever you want to do. Just kind of wibble jibble. And if you want to, you can just gently stretch a little bit each finger in turn. Just gently. Hello. Nice to see you this morning, fingers. That sort of a feeling, not like forcing it. Okay, and then take that into the forearms, the wobble. So you're feeling more of these kind of stringy muscles loosen. And then you've got the elbows. Again, elbows and knees. You want to be nice and smooth with them when you're moving them. Think nice and smooth movements. You don't want jolty movements. Just helping to make space and openness for the qi and the blood to flow. Nice and important for the joints. They like a bit of space. And one of the great qualities with the metal element is about having a good structure and a good boundary for making space within life. So there's something that you can think about with the metal element today. Let's bring that into the shoulders. Okay, we'll come back to a lot of these areas in specific later. I do think a bit of sound is always good. You don't have to, but okay. Just notice how that's feeling now. Let yourself come to stillness. Just thinking back briefly to when you first scanned into yourself and then how you are now. What's it like in difference? Is there a bit of difference in yourself already? We haven't really done much. So I'm noticing a bit of difference already. So we're going to start with doing a little bit of stuff with the 3 burners and then focus a bit more with the upper burner and the lung channel. Okay, so the lower burner, kidneys, is what we like to support the lower burner and the kidneys in there. So first of all, we're just going to do a bit of breath work. So you can rub your hands together. And as you rub your hands together, bring your attention into your hands. Feel the rubbing of the 2 hands. Feel that sort of warmth and the fuzziness that's kind of building between the hands. Okay. And then get a sense of like gathering a bit of the Qi in the air and bringing it into your lower burner. So again, from below the belly button to the pelvic bone, that space. And all of that fuzziness, all of that warmth, all of that buzzing in the hands, you can start to allow that to sink into your lower burner. Let it warm the insides, sink right through towards the spine on the inside of you. Supportive, sturdy. Nice. And if you can reach round and hold your back, then you've got your sacrum here, your sacrum bone, as well as your lower back and your kidneys. So you can kind of place your hands over here. If it's not so good for your shoulders to reach around and hold here, then you can have one hand on the front and just put one hand loosely on your bum, on your buttocks, and that'll be touching the lower part of the sacrum. And if that's still not good for a shoulder, then just have both hands on and have a sense of the mind kind of going right through. We're going to take a nice deep breath in, and then you're breathing down through the arms and pouring into the lower burner, trying to really fill up that supportive quality inside. So breathing in, let everything relax and allow that Qi, that breath to pour through into the lower burner. And breathing in again, filling up the belly. If you don't fill up the belly straight away, just relax, let everything sink down to the belly, and then breathe out. And again, it's like your out breath is kind of coming through the arms to pour through into the lower back. And if you've got your hands on your lower back, then you're just going directly in. Allow your arms to be nice and relaxed. Lovely. Okay, and a little bit of a rub. Otherwise, if you can't rub easily like this, turn the hands around. So you've kind of almost got your loose fist on the top of your buttocks, or if you can reach into the lower back. And you're just doing nice circles like this. And you can kind of move your body up and down to help. In fact, there is a Qi Gong exercise called shaking wards off all disease. And you bounce on the balls of your feet like that. And you use the bounce to make these big circles with your hands. So your arms are very relaxed. It may not be comfortable for you to do that, so don't jump in with it. If you can't reach round, place your hand on your belly and just do some little circles on the front of your belly. And send that warmth into the kidneys, into the lower burner, into that lovely, strong base of the body. So whichever, whether your hands are on the front or the back, we are in essence reaching into a very primal quality of energy, of Qi, of ourselves, that connects through to all of our ancestors. There's a little insight into it. Okay. And just rub off a little bit. And we're just going to tap down the backs of the legs out to the little toe. And then tap. If you turn your feet outwards, it's a little bit easier to tap up the inside, kind of like the inside of the back of your leg. So tap down the outside back of the leg, and then back up inside back of the leg. Okay. Oh. Okay. That should be enough for that. Let's take a moment to check in. Always worthwhile, just checking in with yourself. So come to a place of just relaxing again. Let a bit of that movement just still inside yourself. And just bring your attention to the lower burner again. Maybe a little connection with the legs all the way through to the lower burner. What's it like now? And take your attention just briefly to how it was before we started and we did a scan. What was the lower burner like then? And how is it now in you? Is there any difference? There is for me. I can notice that it's not so solid and heavy. It's now a bit more sort of more free-flowing, but still has that kind of steady base. Okay, now we're going to move on to the middle burner. So the middle burner, as we've done before and not that long ago really, it's got the stomach and spleen and the liver and gallbladder. And a lot of what's appreciated by the middle burner is free flow. So there's the digestion is involved, but also a free flow of blood and qi. So we're going to do that lovely turning movement. So the thing to remember is with the legs and the feet, your feet want to be pretty much facing forwards, not so much turned out, but facing forwards. Your knees want to be bent and relaxed, so relaxed ankles, knees and hips, and pointing over the tops of the feet. Not like way over and not too far behind, just in the middle. Okay. And then when you're turning, just get a feeling of the hips turning, but the knees pretty much staying where they are. It's almost like you've got a ball between your knees, and you don't want to turn the ball over to one side or the other, and you don't want to drop the ball. So you're just keeping it nice and steady. And just get a feeling for that turning in the hips to begin with. Just turning a little bit from corner to corner. Just relax through the hips, outside and inside, until you can start to feel like you can move a bit more. And then you can let the twist come up through the torso into the middle of the body. And let your arms just hang loose. Feet nice and sunk into the ground. That lovely lower burner and legs that we've just opened and loosened, staying nice and steady. Middle burner having freedom of movement. It may help with anyone who's got some lower back tightness. Try to have a feeling of your tailbone being slightly tucked under, so it straightens out your back as you do this. And that may just help with the lower back. Give it a slight sort of gentle stretch. Okay. So we're twisting and turning with a freedom and a free flow of movement. Let yourself sigh if you need to. It's a very good thing, very nice thing. And if you need to, let yourself twist more. And I always remember what Shakura said when she held the class and she did this. Almost imagine that your spine is like a towel that you're kind of twisting. You know when you twist a towel like that? So imagine your spine is like that. You're just kind of wringing out the water within a towel. All the way through. Now, if you are If you felt a bit ungrounded before and a bit stuck at some part of your body, you can use your floppy arms to kind of go to a part of the body and sort of allow the hands to come up and gently tap. So I have a bit of tension in my ribs here, so I'm letting my hands come up a bit and just giving them a light tap. But I also have tension in my shoulders, so if I really want to, I can step away from the wall and give it a bit more. I'm still trying to be very loose with my arms, but I'm trying to use the twist to direct where it's needed. Now, maybe you don't have an area of great tightness, so in which case, just let your arms be nice and loose and get that feeling of freedom of movement. Okay. I think we've done enough of this now. We can let ourselves come to a stop, let the hips come to a stop, let the body just come to a stop in its own time, naturally finding its own movement, closing off in stillness. And for me, that's about here. And it's wonderful, you get a feeling of internal stillness, and yet there's also movement happening all the way through the body. So you can find movement and stillness come together. Okay. So just have a quick moment of noticing how that's feeling. We've got the lower boner we've worked on, the middle boner, we've just done some of that twisting exercise. How's that feeling compared to before? Okay, maybe a little bit different. So we're going to tap down the front of the thighs, just outside edge of the front, all the way down towards the ankles. And then again up on the front aspect. So what we're doing is going down on the stomach channel, part of the earth element, coming up on the spleen, which is the other part of the earth element. So you notice I'm on the front of my thighs, but it's just on the outside, and then on the front again, but on the inside. And into the belly. Okay, now we're going to do on the outside, very, very outside, almost like the trouser seam on the leg, and then we're going to come up on the inside, right on the inside, again, the trouser seam. So you know the kind of line of where the trouser leg has the sewing going on. So have a little knockabout on the hips and the buttocks, and then going through outside of the leg and then inside of the leg, up to the ribs, down to the hips, outside, inside, up to the ribs, hips, outside, inside, and then stroking down the outside of the leg and up the inside. Just have a little step around. And then come back to stillness again, letting the movement just find its own place of sinking into a center and a stillness and a bit of relaxation. Okay, bring your attention to your middle boner again. So the place from the belly button up to the lower ribs or the diaphragm. So how's that feeling now? So we can do something like notice, is there much difference between the middle burner and the lower burner? So what's the lower burner like? We worked on that a moment ago. And the middle burner? Not too bad. It's getting my digestion going. Pardon me. We can also check in with, at the beginning we checked in with the middle burner. What was it like then? Just remember. And then now, how's it feeling in yourself now? What's my middle burner like? Is there any difference? So for me there is. It feels a lot less full of my banana pancakes. Feels a lot freer. That's a great feeling. For me, I'm just giving you my sense of it. So now, we've worked a lot with the legs and with the lower and middle burner. And we're going to work on the upper burner now, and then that goes into the arms. And we'll also do our point of the week that we always do. Okay, so first of all, just check in. How's the upper burner feeling? Nice. So now we're going to just do some breathing. First of all, the first breathing I'd like to do is kind of basically yawning, but yawning is a fantastic thing. And I want you to have that same feeling that you have in a sort of typical stretch the arms up and yawn, and then let the arms just kind of flop down. Now if your shoulders, if that and this slightly dropping down feeling is not comfortable for your shoulders, find where you can go to in stretching arms up and have the thumbs and the forefingers stretching. So wherever is comfortable for you, if it's in front of you, up, level with the shoulders, right up, all good. You find your place to be where there's opening of the arms, and point the index finger and the thumb and stretch out a little bit, whatever is right for you. And then when you've breathed in with a big yawn and you breathe out, just let them drop. If you can, yawn, breathe in, and then let them drop and loosen and let go. Really nice letting go feeling. So do a couple more of those. So try to create a yawn. Make as much silly sound as you like. I think it's a really useful thing to do. Okay, one more time. Lovely, 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 lovely. Shaking the arms off a bit. Okay, and then there's a couple of stretches that Cliff and I have done with you for channels that run through the chest and the arm. So we're going to do those now. And one of them, you come forwards when breathing in, a little bit like you're going to dive. And then when you breathe out, you open the arms out and stretch them backwards, mainly with the sort of, especially the middle finger pointing behind you. Okay, so breathe in, stretch forwards, and breathe out and open, open, open. And let the arms drop. Okay, breathe in forwards, and breathe out, come up, open, open, open. Hands point behind you if you can. Relax the shoulders. Last one. Forwards, forwards. And then relax, backwards, backwards, backwards. This is stretching the pericardium or heart protector. Relax the shoulders. There we go. Oh, just give the arms a little bit of a shake off. Shoulders, a little bit of a bounce. Nice and loosened. Okay. And then, so that was the heart protector, which goes down right down the center front of the arm. And we're going to do the heart, which is more on the inside. Both of those two are fire element, if you've been watching the elements as they've been rolling on through the year. However, today we're going to be focusing in a minute a bit more on the metal element, but for now we've got one more, the heart. So this goes on the underside of the arm to the little finger. And the way we do this is to put our hands in prayer position in front of us, a little bit of space. Allow the elbows to be raised a little bit. And then you As much as you can feel comfortable to do, bring your hands above your head and breathe in. And then as you breathe out, open the elbows outwards. And if you can, point the hands behind you. And then relax the hands down. So, if this is okay for your shoulders, prayer position, breathe in. And then as you breathe out, open the elbows out, point the fingers behind your head. And then let the arms flop again. Okay, last one. Just go as far and as easy as you can, not pushing anything, not forcing anything. Okay. And I tell you what, now that we've got this sort of feeling going, the bounce, this is where we're going to start working with the lung and large intestine channel and the breath a bit, the opening of the chest a bit more. So keep the swinging of the arms going. And as you swing, forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards, try to introduce a little bounce in the knees. Do, do, do. This helps because then you don't have to do anything with the arms. You can use the bounce of your legs, if you wish to make your arms swing. Make your arms nice and loose, and they don't come above shoulder height in front of you. Notice my hands aren't going any higher than the shoulders in front of me. I'm not taking them up there. Behind me, I'm just seeing how far, using the bounce, I can get them to go. So, swinging the hands behind me. Okay. Now let's help make this a little bit more clear. Again, thumbs and index fingers. Open and pointed. And what you'll find is as you bounce, 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 and that swings the arms up behind you, the thumbs and the index finger will be drawing the arms in a certain way. Now, we can play with this a little bit to get a different stretch. How's about we turn the thumbs and point them towards the floor when they're in front of us? See? Oh, what is that like on the shoulders and the upper back and the chest? Okay, and what about if, rather than just having them swinging straight backwards, we let our arms swing outwards? Not straight back, but outwards. Not straight back, but outwards. So there's a slightly different feeling again. Is it straight back or is it outwards? You know, have a play. This is the thing. All of these wonderful, wonderful things that really can affect our health, we can play with and get creative. Okay, so now what about if we turn our thumbs so that they're facing each other? They're no longer pointing downwards, they're facing each other, the thumbs, you can see. Yeah? So, again, going straight back. What does that feel like? Different from before? What about if they were swinging outwards? What part of the shoulder and the chest and the upper back is feeling opened and worked? And we can just keep going, you know, turning it this way, going outwards, da-da-da-da. It's always nice exploring things, you know? We can turn the thumbs this way. Okay, so that's a nice amount of that. So just let the knees come to a stop. Let the arms come to a natural close in their own time. There'll be a little bit of movement in the body. Let that find its own moment of just sinking back into a center inside of yourself, back into stillness. Okay, let's just take a brief moment, checking in with the upper burner. How's that feeling? Okay, now we're going to do some tapping down. I'm just going to check the time. Where are we at? Okay, we haven't got loads of time. We're just going to do a quick bit of tapping down. So I need to do the point of the week. Tapping down on, it's not directly in the middle of the arm. It's if you turn the arm slightly and you're just outside of where the bicep is. So tapping down there, and then just turning it and coming up just outside of that. Tapping down just outside of the middle of the arm, and then you turn your arm and come back up. And then we'll do the other side. This is going down the lung channel and coming back up its partner, the large intestine, which we'll come to later on in this metal element. Okay, we really need to do point of the week before we run out of time. So Kat, please could you put, I don't know why I don't need to bring the chair over. Please could you, yes, lung 5, Qi Gong, cubit march. Now, it's an interesting one where they call it cubit march. And I'm not quite sure why the word cubit is used. I know that cubit is an ancient level of measurement, but it was really only used in places like Egypt and then slightly taken on in other ancient civilizations and adapted. Anyway, that's besides the point. If you look at the image, so I'll bring my arm up as well in the same sort of way. So it's talking about, you notice it says the, oh I see, cubital crease, that's why. The whole crease is called the cubital crease. There you go. There's me paying close attention, of course. But it says the biceps tendon. So the bicep is obviously, well, I don't really have much of a bicep, but this muscle in the middle. And then there's a big tendon that comes down and goes into the forearm. And anyone will be able to feel their own tendon here because it's very, very strong tendon. Now, as you see, the yellow dot is that heart protector, and that's just on the inner aspect. The lung is just outside of it, more towards the outer aspect of our cubital crease, the elbow crease. If you were to hold the inside of your arm and you put your thumb across your elbow crease, your thumb will start to fall into the lung 5 point. Or you can find the tendon and just drop outside of it a little bit. So you can hold it with a thumb, you can hold it with your fingers, you can tap it. So we're going to do this. Excuse me. So just come up and hold. You'll notice that if you squeeze outside of the middle of your bicep, just to the side of it, there's a bit like a little sort of valley, a little bit of a dip, which you can get your fingers into. This is going into the lung channel, often called a meridian. It's not the best name for it, and then you'll come to the elbow crease, and it might feel a bit different when you find it in the elbow crease. It might be a bit more tender. Certainly is with me. Okay, so just do a little bit of this self Shiatsu. So just gently squeezing in that valley of between muscles. And then you find the elbow crease, and it's just, again, it's not in the muscle, it's just between the muscle and the tendon. You'll, again, probably feel that there's a little bit of a dip, a valley, a sort of a valley that it can go into. Lovely. And just notice what it's like when you find that point. Squeezing, squeezing, squeezing. Find the point. Oh, what's it like in there? A bit more tender. Okay. And you can use your thumb if you want to. So let's just go to the other side. Okay, squeezing, 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 squeezing. And then, so you see that there's the crease. Here's the tendon in the middle. So just outside of the tendon, got a bulge of muscle here. And it's in the kind of that crease of, or dip. Okay. So now we can try noticing something. So it says here on the slide that it regulates and tonifies the lungs and expands and releases the chest, as well as good for elbow pain. So if you have tightness in your elbow joint, this can be a great one to use. It's one of those ones that, like I was saying earlier, can allow space. So you want to have a nice, decent structure to the body and to life so that you have space within it in which you can play or work or whatever it is you are aiming for. So that's one way of using it, the elbow pain. Now, what do we mean by regulates and tonifies the lungs? For one thing, when it says regulates, the lungs are not just these funny sponge-like organs or spongy inside-out trees that we have inside of our bodies that takes in air and then releases carbon dioxide. Although they do that, it's also talking about the Qi that flows through our body. Like I was saying, we breathe in Qi from the air and then we descend and disperse into the body with that enlivening and vitalizing Qi from the air. So it's nice to be able to bring that in and have a sense of this upness coming down. And it also descends and disperses moisture that has come up in the body. So if the lungs are a bit faulty, a bit out of balance, the lung Qi, then we can often end up with a cold and we'll have loads of mucus and a bit of, stuffiness up in the nose and the sinuses. So when they're descending a bit more easily, and that has a feeling of connecting with the kidneys as well, the lower burner, then some of that moisture can descend with the Qi. Hope that makes sense. So that's one of the regulates the lungs, the function of the lungs and the lung Qi to descend and disperse and to bring vitality downwards and to all of the other organs. Tonifies. So if you think of toning up, like toning your muscles, so that's what we're doing, is we're toning up the strength of the Qi. So let's try this. So find the point. So you can do this by holding it and just sink into the point, the lung 5, at the elbow crease, in that sort of valley between muscle and tendon. And just relax both your shoulders, both your arms, but sink your fingers or your thumb in and just notice whereabouts in you it's starting to connect with. Is it just in the elbow? Does it feel like it's going up into the chest, connecting into the chest? Or does it feel like it's more of a general feeling? A general feeling of sort of opening or tonifying vitality. So feel free, we haven't got a poll set up, but feel free to let us know in the chat on this side, just by holding, sinking in with the fingers and your attention. Is it just into the elbow? Is it sinking in and you're feeling it more in the chest? Or is it sinking in and you're feeling it more in a general sense in your body? Let us know. We're going to do this with the other side, but this time we're going to do some tapping. So we're going to start up in the front of the shoulder, come down just in that sort of valley outside of the bicep, and then find lung 5 and tap there for a moment before carrying on down, and then come back up. And we're just going to do this a few times. And just notice tapping on lung 5 for a moment. And then down. And again. And tapping lung 5. And down. Maybe one more time. Loose, loose, tap, tap, open, open, shift, shift. Okay, stroke down the arm. I can really notice lung 5 because on my arms they've both gone red now where I've been working them. Just hold that point now that you've tapped it and notice where where you feel it connecting with. Again, is it into the elbow? Is it into the shoulder? Or is it into more the chest or the body in general? Okay, interesting. So for me personally, I found that on this side, when I was just holding, it was definitely more of a general feeling. I mean, I could notice the elbow, I could notice the chest, but it was more so a general feeling of that descending, dispersing the whole body. This side, the tapping, felt much more shoulder and chest. So I'm just going to briefly have a look at the chat. I know we've got just enough time to do this, but there you go. So there's a few of you saying different things. I'm feeling it in general. Someone's saying the lungs, right point, right lung, left arm. So again, slight difference can happen. It's really lovely and interesting. General feeling, but notice it in the chest with the left arm. Thank you, Lynn. Yeah, Lynn, lungs in general, Gillian. Both sides of the lungs. It's so fascinating. So there's a question here, and there we are again. When one mentions damp or marsh, it has to do with humidity, but how? Okay, so damp or marsh and humidity. Jane, you said it helps your two-upness already starting to descend. You see, it's a great feeling, that descending, that regulating of the lungs. Okay, Catherine, back to your question. So damp, this is a quality of, it's more to do with moisture in the body that comes from most often the food that we eat. So it's more of a digestive thing. And when the qi is not strong enough to draw out the moisture and the qi from the food directly and descend it where it needs to go, then we have this excess of a kind of a squidginess from the food and a damp, and that can go into, well, it can go into any area of the body, but most often it goes into the digestive system and upwards into the lungs, because the spleen sends things upwards to the chest. And so often that's when we get dampness, and that is an excess of moisture and phlegm when it becomes too thick and hot in the lungs. And if the lungs aren't very strong, which can get weakened by too much moisture, then the lungs aren't doing their downward effect, and that's when it can come up into the sinuses and the head. I hope that makes sense. If you need more clarification on that, let us know. Oh, what to eat to avoid damp? I mean, there's a lot of things, but anything that's going to strengthen the spleen. We'll see if we can come to that another time. If we do too many questions now, we might not finish off, and we've only got 2 minutes left. So I just want to finish off quickly with a little bit of going through the body, tapping on the head. So I want you to tap from the front of the head, tapping over the top, and down the back, and down the back of the neck. Tapping over the top with your fingertips, and down. You can do a bit of the sides of the head as well, and the sides of the neck. Down the sides of the neck, down the back of the neck. And maybe just support your shoulder, and then just tap down your shoulder. Lots of points in the shoulder that can help move energy downwards. Okay, support the other elbow, tap on the other shoulder, tapping from the neck outwards. Okay, and then just stroke down the arms, and stroke down the side of the body, and then stroke down the legs, and then just a general sort of shake out. Maybe a little bit of a bounce if you're up for that. And then I want you to just take a moment, standing there, have a sense of the upness and the connection from above, through yourself, And then a sense of the ground below you, nice and steady, and a feeling of your downness and connection with below, and that sense of the ground coming up through you. And just have a sense of almost like you are on a sliding scale. And just get a sense of where you need to be. If there's too much up here, try to bring your attention sinking down and relax downwards. If you're too down here still, just try to slide it up a little bit here. Try to find your sense of balance. And you can use breath as well. So you can breathe and try and draw up. Or you can try and draw breath in and sink it down. So use the breath. And then last of all, if you can just focus for a moment on the class feeling of all of us around each other. A nice big circle together in a group like we did at the beginning. Everyone who is live to this class, everyone who is watching it later. It's so nice to be here with you all. Thank you so much. Just have a moment of thanks for each other, for yourself, for the class, for this space. Lovely. Okay, and the last thing we're going to do, I know it's already gone over an hour, but hello, Kat.
That was lovely, Basti.
Thank you very much, everyone. It would be really nice to just see if we could see that last poll of how everyone is feeling now.
Oh, yes.
Because it's always nice to actually kind of check in with you at the end, everyone. I know that there's lots of hearts coming up. Thank you. I've now slowed down to 40 miles per hour in a 40 zone.
There we
Nice
are. Okay, I found it. Also, I found the book that is really great for food. It's called Helping Ourselves. It looks like this.
Yes, by Daverick Leggett.
Yes. And on the inside, I looked for dampness, and you've got all sorts of stuff. Foods that resolve dampness or resolves water, or also phlegm. And there's a huge amount of foods in there. So it's a really good book. Yeah. So something like phlegm, grapefruit is great for phlegm.
Yes.
Something else, basil's really good for water retention and stuff like that. And dampness, there's so many, but like lemon, mackerel, green tea, there's so many. And
so many. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much, Kat. I can see one person that's feeling a little bit less balanced, and that can often be the case when we've released a bit of stuff when something has been stuck or something like that. Now, do take it easy, but also see if you can use a little bit of that sense of balancing on a sliding scale and loosening off in general and breathing. The best things, just getting a sense of where you need to be in yourself. And everyone who said feeling more balanced, I'm so glad. Okay, it's been lovely to do this today. Thank you so much, Kat.
Very welcome. It's been a nice chat.
There's plenty going on there.
Oh, well, have a lovely day, everybody.
Right, I'm going to do a bit of clicking and looking like I don't know what I'm doing for a moment.
Bye-bye.
There we go. Cheerio, everyone.